welcome, and thank you for joining for another whiskey review. Today, we're going to take a look at the 2020 version of Longrow 21 46% ABV limited release Dustin. Your bottle right here, my friend, so I'll let you pour the bottle. Comes in the typical special Sprinkbank flip top box like the 21s and the 25s. And if you guys have noticed, we got our good friend Keith from the Malted Man Cave here, ready to give his opinion on his favorite distillery.
Here to mooch some Longrow from Dustin and my good friend Mike.
Yeah, buddy.
Had some Lagavulin 25 earlier. It was delicious.
Lagavulin 25, Lagavulin 18, Jazz Fest 2013, Highland Park 30. What a good day.
Yeah, they're healthy pour there, Keith. Because I'll be honest, it's actually really hard to pour in these capitas if you guys haven't done that. Because if you get the bottle too far in there, when you go to pull it out, it sort of sticks.
Yeah, so we figured we'd just do a little whiskey conversation about this Longrow 21. This one, again, 46% ABV, the 2020 bottling. Dustin was lucky enough to get both the 19 and the 20 that we'll do a comparison on at some point, I'm sure, Dustin.
Absolutely.
But since our good buddy Keith was over here and graced us with his presence, we thought we'd break out one of his favorite distilleries and we give our thoughts on what this one is.
Yeah. So 95% sherry casks, 5% bourbon casks. And I want to say I've not seen an official bottle number on this one yet, but I'm guessing it's like the 21 Sprinkbank and the last year's Longrow, so around 3,500 bottles.
Yeah, as you know, these guys are huge Sprinkbank fans. I like Sprinkbank, and I like Longrow as the variants of Sprinkbank being Hazelburn, Sprinkbank, and Longrow. I kind of like the Longrows the best myself. So beautiful natural color here. Again, 46% ABV. So they do water it down, but they don't color it. And do they chill filter, Dustin?
They do not.
So checking off a lot of boxes. Again, a good ABV, preferred at cask strength.
Chill filter.
I know.
Of any distillery.
Oh, and here we go. So I'll just at this point, I'll just step back and let the two Sprinkbank nerds go at it. Guys, what can you tell me about this Longrow 21?
I'll tell you what, immediately, this reminds me of a better and more peatier version of Sprinkbank 15. It's got that sweet and sour, that lemon lime citrus.
I'm so glad, Keith, you brought up Sprinkbank 15, because as soon as I went into this bottle, last night was actually when I opened it, instantly I started thinking about Sprinkbank 15, the new boxes, not the old ones, the new ones, which are dirtier and funkier, and that is exactly what I got on this whiskey.
But better, and I love Sprinkbank 15. I think it's one of the few whiskeys out there that is actually getting better right now, which most whiskeys tend to get worse, not all of them, obviously. But, oh my gosh, lemon lime citrus, sugar dough cookies, soot, funk. What else is on there?
There's hay. There's like going into a barn.
A good malty,
Good
oily,
hay.
buttery biscuits.
Oh, oily and buttery, 100%. I will say the legs actually on here are pretty decent. They're looking really good for a 46%er. This is definitely an oily whiskey.
Do you guys remember that bubble gum you used to get in the States, and it had like a zebra, and it was like Tutti Frutti bubble gum? Do you remember that?
The zebra?
Yeah, the zebra.
Was it like a tape thing too?
Tutti Frutti bubble gum.
Again, I think we've had this gum conversation before. I'm more of a Hubba Bubba guy. Or you be more of a Tutti Frutti guy, but hey, don't let me derail you.
Yeah, no, I definitely get that. I mean, it is a very interesting, it's fresh, it's bright, it's kind of floral. It's very inviting.
Way brighter than you would think for a dirty Longrow aged for 21 years.
Well, and when we talk about the Sprinkbank 15, this is actually bright like the old Sprinkbank 15s, which I personally actually like more than the new ones.
Really?
Yeah, the new ones are a little...
They're all good.
They're getting kind of dark and funky in a off way, whereas this is more bright.
You know I like them funky.
I do. I've had a lot of your whiskey. You love the funk.
I do love the funk.
I tell you what, it's a word dichotomy between super gritty and dirty, and at the same time some super sweet notes. It's almost like eating cotton candy and getting tackled at a football game.
Yeah.
It's almost like the combination of the two.
I'm not gonna lie.
A beautiful analogy.
Grass, dirt,
Beautiful.
and
Perfect.
cotton candy is actually not a bad descriptor here. And then you got hit in the head with a football.
Almost a little Mountain Dew too, with some soot thrown in it. A little Mountain Dew.
Yeah, it's getting tackled with a bouquet of cotton candy on a football field with a big roaring fire going in the background.
You know, you're right, Keith. This is more sooty than Sprinkbank Funky, which is kind of surprising. I was initially thinking to myself Sprinkbank Funk, but no, it's sooty with
Do you guys think that's because of the cask maceration, or do you think it's the natural spirit that is aged? I mean, let's be clear here. A 21-year-old Longrow is a old Longrow.
Yeah, it's a rare.
But yeah, by their standards. I mean, we've done 18-year-olds before, Dustin.
Yeah.
But Longrow really doesn't get an old release like this 21-year-old.
Longrow 25 yet.
The only 25 I've seen, I believe, was an old bottling, probably
Before,
back in the day. And that was like $1,500, so I didn't pick it up.
Yeah, but common day, this is about as old as the Longrows I've ever seen.
This is the oldest I'm aware of. They've done a couple of releases. This is the second annual. They did back in 2015, I believe. They did like a opening day release that was a 21. There's very little old Longrow out there, so hopefully 25 comes soon.
I know this is not everybody's cup of tea, but I love that sweet and sour. Whenever Springbank or Longrow or Hazelburn gets that sour note, I love it. There's plenty of people that hate it. I love that sour note.
Yeah, there's a level of refinement and just cleanliness to this that I'm associating with being 21 years old. Kind of like the Springbank 21s, they reach a level of refinement that you don't get in the younger expressions. It's coming through beautifully here. This is refined.
Do you guys think it has coconut? I know I hear Ralphie talk about like the older that Springbanks or Longrows get, you get a coconut note, and I could go there. I don't know if I'm being led by his, what I've heard him say before. I could go with coconut.
So I just went in for the first taste. Now I can kind of see the coconut, although I tend to go more with that underbaked sugar cookie description you use a lot of times, Keith. So definitely got some vanilla, herbal, rich. It's very creamy too. A lot more so than you'd expect, and a little lactosey.
Just a little bit. Would you say green? There's something green about this. Almost like maybe it's the herbal and the lemon lime.
I get a little bit of lime. You're right.
The lime I agree with. Herbal, I mean, maybe. You know what I mean? It's kind of hard with the other notes that are just kind of covering it. Because it is so dirty.
It's so dirty.
I mean, it is just very Springbank funky.
We just had a Leche 21 Manzanilla that cast strength that was way dirtier, but this is dirty.
It's a very dirty whiskey, but again, it's got a refinement that
Very true.
You don't get on like a younger Longrow. Even the 18s, I feel like are dirtier because they lack that extra layer of refinement. This is
It's both high on the dirt level and high on the refinement level. I mean, it really, for me, as you guys know, I'm not as big of a fan of the distillery Springbank as you two are, though I like it. I'm not as big of a fan, but if there's one of the three versions of Springbank, being Hazelburn, Springbank, and Longrow, that I have the most of, it's obvious. I have more Longrows than I do anything because I like the higher peat level. I like the dirtier kind of version of it. As a traditional Isla lover, I feel it kind of that maps over to my palate a little bit better than, say, the Springbank and the Hazelburn does.
Yeah, you hate the Hazelburn.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't found a Hazelburn that I really like, but then again, I haven't had some of the
Did you
old
ever have
ones.
the Hazelburn 13 or 14 Oloroso?
I mean, I can't really remember. I don't think so. I mean,
That is really
unless
the
I shared
one.
it with you.
Those are really the only one that like
Or at least you
stands
shared it
out
with
as
me.
special.
Yeah.
I do like. I got an 11-year single cask, but you have to really like.
Their
finish on
their
that.
runlets and Kilderkins is pretty good.
You know,
I think you would both like that.
Hazelburn to me is
I
like
passed on that one. Regretted it.
It's good.
Hazelburn to me is like drinking a Lagavulin, Lafroig, or Ardbeg, a
Without
great
peat,
Southern Isla without peat. It doesn't make sense to me.
I know this is kind of being repetitive because it's kind of the same lemon lime kind of note, but Sprite, the pop.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. I think you guys both picked up Sprite on the local barley 9-year.
Yes. Yeah, it has some type of a clean cola note, if that makes any sense to you guys. Because normally I think of a cola note in scotches, I think of a dark cola.
Is there a slight mentholic in here?
That I'm not getting. I am getting, I will say, on the taste, a lot more Springbank funk than the nose. The nose is actually relatively light in funk.
True.
Palate is very funky on the finish.
Yeah, it's very gritty, dirty, very dough left out too long sort of note to it. Which again is how I define Springbank as dough left out too long, where it got hard and it's starting to go bad, but not quite bad, but it's starting to kind of go there in the best possible way.
In the best possible way.
Yeah.
In a delicious way.
This is really opening up nicely as we kind of go through it.
We're a couple days after Thanksgiving. Normally at Thanksgiving, my sisters will cook and they'll send me home with extra food because they make so much food. And I'm a victim to the 2:00 in the morning quick snack, especially if it's sweet. And if I left like a piece of apple pie or pumpkin pie out like on my countertop all night.
Do you log that in the phone?
Yeah. Oh, I logged that on my MyFitnessPal app. You're damn right I do. And so what I'll do is I'll go back and I'll get like a piece of pie like in the middle of the night, because I cannot be trusted at 2 or 3 in the morning not to just indulge in whatever I want. So I'll grab the pie and I'll eat the pie. And it's been left out too long, and the dough's kind of got a little bit rigid and a little stiffer than it should be at its peak. And this is what reminds me of this whiskey.
Yeah.
It reminds me of bad decisions at 2:30 in the morning.
Little Sprite,
little Sprite, little
pie
candy, something high in calories, and maybe someone you wouldn't want to bring home to mom.
I'll tell you what, it's got a medium to long finish. I mean, this is really, honestly, doing pretty much everything in a Longrow I want.
You know, one thing
really
I will say.
I wish it was cast strength, but you know.
Yeah, I agree. I wish it was a little bit higher ABV, but it's not like you're lacking in density of the whiskey. It still feels oily. It still feels viscous. It still feels full. But I will say this: with a couple drops of water, that bubblegum note you originally mentioned, it seems like it comes out far greater than this, like a powdered sugar type of note, along with again this.
Because that's that Tutti Frutti bubblegum. I think it had like that powdered like sugar on the gum.
Hubba bubba. But yes, that very candied sugar, and again the dichotomy between dirty and gritty and super sweet is very unique in Longrows, especially in this one. This is almost a showcase of that dichotomy.
You know what I'm not getting on here?
What?
Sherry. 95% sherry
It's
cask.
95% sherry.
But, you know, Mike.
Not very dark.
Yeah.
These have to be like, what was it, 3rd, 4th fill sherry?
Well, and you know, Mike, we did the review of the 2018 Sprinkbank 25 year. And as you recall, that's 100% sherry casks, and
Gonna come off early
actually lighter color than this. So Sprinkbank likes to use these really tired casks when they go 20 plus years.
But you know, again, as we were kind of talking about yesterday, once you go to that 25, we go over 20 up to 25 years, it's really hard to get a first fill cask to really perform correctly at that type of age.
I'll take the first fill though, all the way to like 40 years old.
If you can, but I would rather have a good second fill, 20 plus year old matured whiskey.
I know this is the general like
consensus.
I think these are probably third fill, like you kind of hinting at, Keith, or at least some of it was.
Sure.
Because we've really lost the color. But I think, in contrast, though, we've done a beautiful job of showcasing that Longrow spirit at this. Again, 21's not a hyper old whiskey, but it is 21's where you start talking about this is old whiskey.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've always kind of felt like 18 was that tipping point, where 18 wasn't young whiskey and it wasn't super old whiskey. But anything over 18 years old, I've always kind of thought that was older whiskey.
It's the old, I want a whiskey that can buy its own whiskey.
Yeah, well, yeah, I want a whiskey that can make decisions and that go to war.
Yeah.
Or vote.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This
but
is America.
But again, it's America. 21 to drink, so 21's the magic number, right?
It is. It can drink itself. So yeah, we've got a couple drops of water. Do you guys picking up anything different or more or less? Again, it tends to get a little bit sweeter for me with a couple drops of water.
I get more of that Sprite.
Yeah.
I get more of the bubblegum.
Sprite, bubblegum, yeah. I mean, and
Bubba.
yeah, I get less of the bready, earthy notes.
Tutti Frutti.
You know why I say Tutti Frutti, right?
Because I never had
Because
that.
Hubba Bubba is just like the pink regular bubblegum. Tutti Frutti had like each stick. There was one that was like lemon lime. There was one that was like strawberry. It was like the different flavors.
Oh no, I had basic. I had Garbage Pail Kid, just regular Hubba Bubba bubblegum.
You never had Tutti Frutti bubblegum?
I don't think so. I mean, you mentioned that a couple times, so I want to try it at this point.
I'm gonna go order you some.
Yeah, let's do it.
You
Soon
need to
we're done with
experience.
this.
Seriously.
Chew some gum. That'd be great. All right, so I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut any of you gentlemen off when I talked about the difference between having water and not, but you guys pretty much give your thoughts on that?
Yeah.
Okay. So let me ask you guys, where you guys at as far as a whiskey score on this one? Not everybody at once.
I'm gonna go
This is my first time with whiskey.
90.5, almost a 91.
That was literally what I was thinking about doing, Keith.
90.5.
So
almost a 91.
So I think back to the 2018 Springbank 21 that I scored a 90, and I say to myself, this is very similar.
Mm-hmm.
That one's a little saltier. I actually think that one's actually more earthy, which is weird given this is a Longrow. In fact,
That is weird.
Longrow's not doing as much earthy, peaty notes that I'd expect here. So I think, and I've been between 90 and 91. I was debating doing what he did, but I'm gonna go 90. Stick with the 90. Mike?
What were we talking about? I'm just kidding. Yeah, I mean, it's hard. It's my first time with the whiskey. So, no, Dustin, you had the 2019, so we're going to get into that a little more and kind of bring a comparison of this. I mean, my first thoughts are, 89, 90, something along those lines. But being this is my first time with the whiskey, it's really hard to kind of go there as far as giving you a definitive score. But I'll just, I'll make a decision. 90. It's a really, really good whiskey.
Yeah.
It's a whiskey I'd pay multiple $100s for. Again, I wish it was a little bit higher ABV. Other than that, I really have no complaints with the whiskey. It's something that I would happily pay $300 for. Dustin, you were able to jump on a particular website and get them quickly before they sold out. If you don't mind telling the folks, what'd you pay for this?
This was $230 plus shipping.
And you got the 19 and the 20?
Do we really want to tell people this?
We're not telling them where we got it.
Yeah,
We're just telling them what we paid for.
So it was 199 pounds. I paid more for the 19 because it's been out for a while, so I had to pay secondary on that, but still fair.
And we'll bring that to you at some point.
Yeah, we'll get to that one. But these Sprinkbank 21s come out around the 200-pound mark in the UK. They come out around 360, 370 in the US when they show up. I've yet to see a Longrow 21 in America, so...
Yeah, it's a rare bottle.
Yeah.
Very rare. So, if any of you guys were able to get your hands on this one, either the 19 or the recent release of the 2020, we'd love to hear your thoughts on it as well. Aside from that, we want to thank you for joining for another whiskey review. And guys, until next time, what do we wish the folks?
Happy
Happy drinking.
See you then.